but as Hashem.
Still spinning.
I see. Either way, you brought people for writing.
Well,
You know what? Maybe we should.
Today's mine almost temporarily.
Wrap me up. Still here for a second?
Always open that on the back 2 months. I guess so.
It's like a New York storefront.
I think it was existing.
Well, they need it though.
I mean, this was a shul.
Yeah, so okay, but like, why do they even need it?
What a conservative shul.
This was, I believe this was the shul that Martin Berger grew up in.
Okay, we'll start.
And then they moved and his wife also grew up here. She didn't grow up in the same shul. They weren't called this, but
what's the name of the town?
Here's coffee for this week.
that's what this one was.
Harvey, there's no Marmacomas this week yet. That's finished. In fact,
And then they
so
merged.
people should have
That Torah congregation. Right.
Okay, we'll just go there.
They merged and then they left.
It's actually a fake dollar bill on the floor.
Is that Aventura, Highland Lakes? What's the name of
I
that?
think it's.
Where they are
Where they
now.
are, yeah.
It's Highland Lakes.
It's Highland Lakes, but Highland.
It's not Aventura. Aventura
It's right near the
ends,
water.
ends west of Biscayne.
Did anyone get an email for this year this week?
Before Shabbos.
Huh?
I never did, so.
You don't think so?
Did I get an email?
So there's no point in sending them out because everyone comes anyways, right?
Well, you don't know who's not here.
It's good to see.
People who are not
Send a picture of the donut?
here.
Huh?
What?
Is that a picture of the donut?
I get about 5:30, quarter to 6.
Problem is then later on.
Okay. Good morning. I'd like to thank all of you that came, with or without the email. But I assume he's in transit on the way. My brother's in charge of it. Yeah. But thank you for coming to today's share. We entitled today's share the Bracha of Shehecheyanu, honoring a special moment.
Did we say Shehecheyanu on this shirt?
Yes, I think to get to this share today, maybe we should say Shehecheyanu.
Time you should have said, you should.
When I
You
get
should
up
learn
in the
about
morning,
Baruch
I say
Karate.
Shehecheyanu.
Yeah. I figured, by Berger, you're barking up a good tree. Part of the idea behind this share is I was somewhat in the parsha of this Shiloh this week, and for multiple reasons, which I'll tell you in a moment. Baruch Petrani is an individual thing. I wasn't going to give a share just for myself. But L'maisa, I believe the Bracha of Shehecheyanu is a fascinating bracha that we have. Shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu l'azman hazeh. Simply translated as thanking Hashem that we reached this milestone, we reached this moment. That's the simple translation of the words Shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu l'azman hazeh. And we're going to see the halacha talks about many different usages of this bracha. I should probably say a Shehecheyanu that my father is able to be here at the share. So welcome, Abba. It's been here before, but great to have you. Now he fits in. He makes good jokes. Now, L'maisa, I'll tell you first some of the issues I was dealing with myself this week, and then I want to add in some very interesting shilohs, which some of us, depending on your age, could also be nogea. the
Older
issues...
older or younger?
Older. That's my little cute hint. Now, the Bracha of Shehecheyanu that I was dealing with was my son became a bar mitzvah this week. Thank you very much. And the question is, when a boy reaches bar mitzvah, really the first time he's able to perform a mitzvah, any of the 613 mitzvahs, is that itself a reason to say Shehecheyanu? Right? There's talk about such a topic. To be honest, I gave a share about this 5 years ago when my older son became a bar mitzvah, touched on this topic. But a lot has happened since, and I think even halacha, the issue has expanded, different things, and we'd like to add to that. Additionally, I'll float something. L'kavod de simcha, I was very lucky, I was zocha, I published a little sefer, a little kuntras. There's talk in halacha of a shaila, if a person publishes a sefer. Is that a reason to make a Shehecheyanu? So you have those two things together. In researching this topic, I came across a very interesting idea, which we'll expand upon soon. And this probably a lot of people are going to ask for the marmakomos. Did you ever hear of a person making a Shehecheyanu reaching his birthday, besides a 13-year-old? Has anyone in this room made a bracha upon reaching a birthday? A bracha of Shehecheyanu upon reaching a milestone birthday.
In the world,
Yes.
a lot of people don't recognize birthdays as essential.
Very good point.
What would be
Right?
considered a milestone
Is
birthday?
people say, yeah, what's the makor for a birthday party in the Torah? Paro. Paro.
Moshe Levitt.
Right? Yom Haledes is Paro. Okay? But in halacha, I'll show you soon, there's a opinion in halacha that when one reaches 70 years old, one should make a Shehecheyanu. Based on the pasuk we say from David Melch's Tehillim, we say it on Shabbos, that Inishon Adam, right, is Shivim Shana. Right, you bring the end of the pasuk is another thing. 80 is another level. So, do you make one at 70? Do you make another Shehecheyanu? A person reaches 80.
Which is
On top of that.
For being to 120.
Yeah.
Seems to be a compliment.
Question. And if you didn't make the bracha yet, could you still make it now? Very interesting shilos. Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'kiyanu l'zman hazeh. Thanking Hashem, I reached a milestone age.
What if you do Kiddush instead?
Okay, we could also talk about that. What's the best way to mark these occasions? Is it through, the shir is talking about a bracha of Shehecheyanu, but we'll debate if there are situations where you're not going to make a Shehecheyanu. Are there other means of recognizing it? You said, it was brought up, you should make a kiddush, throw a kiddush in the shul. I reached 70. Perhaps maybe there's a better way to do it, different ways to do it. What should a person do, to mark these milestones? Yes?
Usually you wear a new suit, so you're making a Shehecheyanu, right?
Okay, very good. We'll talk about that, right?
There is a question because the new suit is not a big deal.
Correct.
So
Good point. So far we already brought up 3 different areas of Shehecheyanu. Shehecheyanu, the first time you're doing a mitzvah for a bar mitzvah boy. Shehecheyanu for, let's say, a person zocheh to publish a sefer. Shehecheyanu, just based on age. I reached this milestone. Is that something we make a bracha on? I'll throw out a few more shilos, and we'll try to go through them, each one. Chassan and Kala, engaged. It's part of engagement, right? Is giving presents. Do you make a bracha on these presents? A girl gets a diamond ring. Is she making a bracha on that? How about this? Does the guy make a Shehecheyanu when he pays for that ring? Right?
Two different things.
Right? So he bought a diamond ring. He gave it away the next day. But does he make a bracha first? Does she make a bracha second? How's that work? Right?
If his father is paying for it.
My father makes a good comment. Right? Yeah, who makes the bracha? Right? If the groom is not paying for the ring, does the father make a Shehecheyanu? Maybe that's what you brought before. By bar mitzvah, the father makes a bracha baruch shapatrani. Thanking Hashem in a certain sense that I'm off the hook. But it could be, till you kick him out of the house, it's still not off the hook. So, okay, good point. Okay, so I think those are a nice slew of questions that I'd like to deal with this morning. Now, again, I do think this topic is a pretty major topic, and we could do a lot of, we could have part B's to this. And I also put a disclaimer, those listening here, those listening at home, I have a little excuse. That was a little hectic Shabbos, and I didn't have as much time I'd like to research for the share beforehand. I even spoke to different people this morning, hawking, going, oh, that's a good question. Okay, great. If you had an answer to this one. But so please, bear with me. We'll see. I hope to have perhaps more at a later date on this topic too. But let's begin. Shall which one should we do first? I'll let the audience pick. See, when you don't have it as prepared, this is why Chavetz Chaim's share works out well. Okay, Rebose, what do you say? Which topic do you want to hit first? I'm not sure I really have a full order.
Safer.
Huh?
Safer.
Yeah. Okay, Rabbi Weinstein, you spoke up first. Do you make a bracha on the sefer? So I'll show you that one. That one's a little tricky because it jumps into the topic I was going to jump into second. But it's okay. I opened the floor. So we get that one. So what about making a bracha on a new sefer? Now really, just to give first an introduction, basic introduction. Where do you find the halachas of Shehecheyanu? And I'm actually thinking about it. Nowadays, just like in the medical world, the old-fashioned doctor that knew everything is a little bit of absolute. Nowadays, you have specialists, and you have specialists of specialists. And, in Scott Adoros, people are in nowadays you could find svarim on as small and obscure topics because people are specialists. I'm not sure at the top of my head, my svarim head, I don't know that there's a single sefer, that the whole sefer is dedicated to Shehecheyanu. But it really should be.
Did you say Shehecheyanu on your printers?
That's the first question.
On the what?
Ezra will
Yes.
know.
Yes. Now, I do not believe there is such a sefer just in Shehecheyanu, but it really deserves. It really is this big own topic. The main source of the bracha of Shehecheyanu
Would be the first time.
is in Hilchos Brachos, Siman Reish Chav Gimel, where there the Machaber talks about, firstly, talks about having children and making brachos for that. Then he talks about, leave out the circumstances for the moment, but talks about getting Yerusha, inheriting, getting money. He talks about building a house or a major purchase, a new car. These things. He talks about when to make the bracha for those things. Other kelim. Then he talks about clothing, what we don't make brachos on, we don't make brachos on the new shoes, even if it's pashtas, fancy pair of shoes. Okay, that's Reish Chav Gimel and Hilchos Brachos, Chelik Beis and Mishabura. That's where they have the most concentrated list of Shechecheyanus. Shechecheyanus come up, scattered it throughout Shulchan Aruch and many other spots. Now, I'll put in this point also, which is very important. Over there in Reish Chav Gimel and Mishabura Sefkatim Tetzvav, there's an important klal. Here, I'll read first the Mechaber. Bana bayis chadash or kana kelim chadashim. You build a new house, or again, you buy new kelim. Afilu hayolo kiyotze be'elo tchila, even if you have similar things. Or kana v'chaz v'gona, you bought it for the second time. Mevarach al kol pam shehecheyanu. You make each time a shehecheyanu. Right? Then he says, V'adav chadash doesn't have to be even new, right? Even older ones. Okay? Now it talks about kelim. We can debate about cars. New cars, old cars. There's kelim. Okay? Now, Chavetz Chaim writes one line, like a verch over here. You make a bracha of Shehecheyanu. He writes, V'yizar levarach tekef. You should make a bracha of Shehecheyanu right away. Kodem she'isragal v'yisalak ha-simcha mimenu. Before you get used to it, and the simcha wears off from you. So that's why, in general, it's very important if a person's making these brachos of Shehecheyanu to research the topic, get it a clear psak what we should be doing, and do it right away. Because once there might be an expiration date. Once the simcha leaves, wears off, Avar Zmano Balta Karbano, you may not be able to do it so easily. So the Chavetz Chaim is bizarre is us. Okay, let's get it right. So it puts more pressure on us too. Okay, these halachas we gotta figure out. Now, I'll deal with first the safer one. Yeah, that's an interesting new one. So I found here in general there's a lot of talk by a sefer, do you make a Shehecheyanu or not? This is a question that's dealt with through the ages a lot. And the idea being, a sefer is a milestone. It's a big deal to be able to write a sefer. Look, you find many people on their tombstone. What does it say? It's a mechaber of this. It's a defining factor for a person. So that could potentially be a reason, okay, to recite a Shehecheyanu. However, I found, at least Dirsha brings, but it's a bigger discussion, that Reb Chaim Kanievsky quoted in the Sefer, She'einu noeg levarach Shehecheyanu. Our minog, Chaim Kanievsky at least is quoted as holding, is we do not make a Shehecheyanu on a Sefer. If Reb Chaim Kanievsky used those words, it's a great pun. Right? If a person wants to be yotzeyed by having a nice new peri, tavio love bracha. Literally means it should bring upon him the bracha, but that itself is the halachic trick, that through making a bracha on a new fruit, which those halachas are not found in this spot, they're found in other spot, of Shehecheyanu fruits, that works over here. Now that's really a discussion which I want to take place second half of the share.
Twofer.
Yes.
So it would seem that we should be looking first at the words of the bracha itself. What does Zman Hazeh actually mean?
Okay, good. We're going to talk about that. Yes.
My understanding is that there are certain yeshivos that require a bacher to come out with some kind of sefer if they're on the smicha track, if they ever want to get their smicha.
Interesting.
So if it's required, does that change it?
Interesting.
Right.
I would think not. Right.
Right.
That could be not every. I think the Chaim Ozer is famous for saying, "Not everything you think you should say, not everything you say should be written." People should be careful, right? So, the publishing company I dealt with the biggest place in Lakewood. He says most of them you only need 3 copies of, for the author, his father, and his father-in-law. So your hope is that you reach a little bit beyond that. Yeah. In general, just for the record, my Rebbe, Reb Henoch, felt that the person should put most of his kochos into teaching, because that really produces payros, that you're interacting with the person much more. Versus a sefer, most Sfarim, he said the same type of idea, most Sfarim are not widely used and accepted. There's one Stipler, Akilas Yaakov, that became super popular in this. Once in a while, you have Sfarim that are legitimately, well used. Rabbi Luban, has written many Sfarim, and he's a model for this, but he views it, even if it's not so accepted as Sfarim, but the effort that he put in to publish it makes his learning better.
The way he told us once was
Yes.
he uses it as his chavrusa.
Right. So I feel the same. Hachrach.
It's hard to get it for.
Huh?
It's hard to find this for.
Yeah, not so simple. Huh? I'll talk about it later. So, okay, the first question we dealt with is a sefer, and practically it sounds like what Chaim Kanievsky says. The minhag is not to make on that. Doesn't reach the bar. Now, what exactly this bar is, we could talk about too.
Yeah, possibility too that he published and wrote many svarim.
Oh,
To
right,
him, it was almost the Meisim B'chol Yom.
right. That's similar to your
There are
case.
other things I don't know if you mentioned before I walked in, but there are achievements that many people in this room have had. Okay, I'll start with you getting smicha, but others here getting a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, an MD,
Okay, right?
DDS for dentists,
Some of us, it's high school diploma.
getting a law degree, passing the bar, getting
Okay.
board certified
Right.
for a
Right.
doctor,
The one difference might be,
accountant, getting
Right.
a CPA. These are
Right.
major achievements.
right, they are major achievements. It's an interesting point. I didn't see it discussed. One simple chiluk one might make is the difference between a achievement in
The secular world.
the secular world versus in the Torah world.
But
That's a difference.
Kalim has nothing to do with
Right.
religion.
Good point.
So
Yes.
it shouldn't be any worse.
Good kasha. I hear.
So it's back to the
It's
question
a
of what
major
Mount Hazan.
achievement.
Yes.
To be board
Now-
certified and pass the bar.
But the first comment, some was mentioned
I never was
was
at a bar I couldn't pass. I have a lot of lawyer jokes.
It's a good other joke.
yeah. But the point was made that Rav Chaim Kanievsky perhaps
Josh likes my-
didn't think you make mention the minhag is not to make a bracha. He definitely knew about the minhag in publishing svarim, as he did it quite often. Now, let's go to the bar mitzvah case. Why not? So the bar mitzvah case is very interesting. There's a Kaf HaChaim, Yaakov Chaim Sofer, tremendous Sephardi posek, writes, Shetov Lubosh Beged Chadash, Olach al Pri Chadash, Uvarach Shehecheyanu, says this idea that, look, there's an inyan, perhaps, to make a Shehecheyanu in one's bar mitzvah. But again, this one's on me, Ed. You might be reaching your bar mitzvah, but it doesn't reach the bar. It doesn't reach the bar to make a Shehecheyanu.
We said, Rabbi, more bar than mitzvah.
So,
We're talking about the parents or the
no, the boy. The boy, the first time he has a chance to do a mitzvah, isn't that a Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh?
What's the difference? What's the substantial difference other than schar between the mitzvah he's done as chinuch and mitzvah he's
He
done?
also
Good
he
point.
did it every day.
Good point.
He did it every day for a month.
Tangible.
Rabbi Weiss is bringing up a very good point, and I believe the post can talk about your svara, is that since already there's an Indian, the anti-reason, the reason to make a bracha is, look, now's the first time I'm at Siva Oseh, I get real schar for doing a real mitzvah. I'm a big boy. I count for the minyan. So that's a reason to make a bracha. The reason perhaps not to make a bracha, where it doesn't reach the bar, is because, look, is this really new? You were doing this beforehand. Even, for example, people who put on tefillin, right? Most people have the minhag for the bar mitzvah boy to put on tefillin before the bar mitzvah, not just wait to the day of the bar mitzvah. So that means he's been doing even this mitzvah beforehand. So it was like one of the cases they talk about. So Rabbi Weissman's arguing, Achronim, Post can bring this idea that, hey, is it really new? You've been doing it. Okay, you're doing it as chinuch. Now you're doing it for points. You really get schar, but it's hard to say it's as fresh.
So what about a mitzvah that you don't have an opportunity to do until you're 40 years old?
Oh, interesting.
Whatever it's
Right. Okay, hold on. I want to get to the age moments in a second. So again, for this case of bar mitzvah, the Kaf HaChaim recommends you do the trick, put on the new suit, eat a Shehecheyanu peri, and somehow that's going to work. Okay, we'll get back to that. I want to jump to the age issue, which I find so fascinating. To be honest, I thought that was the most fascinating shayla I came across in researching this topic. How the idea of making a bracha based on the age. So there, I actually have them on Makom, so that's a show. I should be able to get them out. The Mishabura, it's a Pri Megadim in Siman Tuf Mem Dalid, quotes a Chavos Yair that says the following. They talk about making an entire, it's a double, it's twofold. A Kiddush, a Suda. A Kiddush is, grab and go. A Suda, when you turn 70, and at that Suda, get up there, Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu l'zman hazeh. The Chavos Yair, earlier authority, brought this idea. And there's even debate, okay, I'll get to the debate in a moment. So the Chavos Yair says one should do that. You should, it reaches the bar. You should make a Suda celebrating reaching the milestone of 70 and make a bracha of Shehecheyanu.
Right.
When you turn 70,
When?
on your birthday.
The Suda.
Yeah.
When do you make it?
At what point in the Suda?
After you wash? Before you wash?
Yeah, let's say after you
Before
wash.
wash?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I assume you make it in the middle of the Suda. Have everyone there gathered. Okay, we'll talk about the planning for it. Just make sure I'm invited. But next year, right?
The Baba Yom on Shabbos.
Now, just before you make all your preparations, let me finish off my sentence. That's the Chavos Yair's opinion brought by the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim says, I'm not sure about this one. He says, Sarachin, I'm not sure this reaches the bar. He's not sure. Now, for the record, so of course, the Pri Megadim gives you the opt-out, get a new fruit. Like, okay, if it's not big enough that I'm 70 years old to make a Shehecheyanu, but this nice little fruit I bought for $2, in the store, now we got it. That really underscores something funny going on over here. So that's part two. Let's see. Let's see if we get to part two. But it's so interesting. The poskim, the modern day poskim, for example, Nissen Karelitz talks about this, and others. Let's say your birthday falls out during the 3 weeks. The normal minhag is we do not make a Shehecheyanu during the 3 weeks. So what do? I was waiting my whole life to turn 70.
Especially if your birthday's on Tisha B'Av itself.
So Rav Nissen Karelitz writes, Sheyamtin l'Shabbos, v'az yivarach Shehecheyanu. You could wait to do this, either the full Suda straight up, according to the Chavos Yair, or the Pri Megadim's trick of doing on a new fruit, or that, wait till Shabbos, and they can make a Shehecheyanu even during the 3 weeks. This is the language of Rav Nissen Karelitz, that since the bracha is, you're thanking Hashem that I reached the 70 milestone. And every day is another chesed from Hashem. Im kain, zman habracha who got b'Shabbos l'achayim halodas. Then even Shabbos after your birthday, it's good enough. Every day is more. And in such a situation, one could wait to make a Shehecheyanu till Shabbos. Now, once I saw this psak from this in Karelitz, it hit me a very interesting idea. And I'm not ready yet to paskin lahalacha, right? I'm really itching. I think we're going to have to do a part 2 next week on this. This is a fascinating topic. But the question that I have is the following. Lu Yitzur, there's somebody in the room who's 7 years old and didn't yet make this bracha. Now, we originally started seeing in the Mishnah Berurah, you got to do it right away when the simcha's there. Okay, that's when you buy your new suit or your new this or that. But here, now, they were talking about the idea of doing it when you're 7 years old. And here the particular shiloh was, if it falls out during the 3 weeks, you're not going to make a Shehecheyanu during the week. Ms. Karel says you can push it off till Shabbos. Now that's just a matter of days. If the person didn't make it yet, is it okay to push it off a few years later? But the reasoning, to me, would seem the same. Because all the more so, if a person didn't make a bracha when he turned 70, every day is a chesed from Hashem, all the more so too.
Why aren't you saying it every day?
Oh, so that's the bracha we make of Shehecheyanu is the milestone. Every day we do thank Hashem. We do thank Hashem every day. But this Shehecheyanu is a special bracha reaching a milestone. So I see a legitimate shaila. If a person didn't make it when he turned 70, is there room to make it even years later? I could hear at Tzad, if a person didn't make it at 70, for sure, is there something even more special to do by 80? Sounds like a Meferish pasuk, but the shal is in terms of the Shehecheyanu. Does that reach the bar? Yes.
I want to say that you're making it on the milestone.
Josh, you have a few. One more time.
If you want to say that we're making it on the milestone and it didn't yet make it, so now what? It's too late. You missed it, or is that what I'm saying? As this question? Because if so, right? So we have mitzvahs that we make it on, that we make it multiple, that we do that same mitzvah multiple times. And if you didn't do the mitzvah, you didn't say the bracha.
Right.
Now you're doing it. You say the bracha.
Right. It's a good example. Let's say for on the Yom Tovim. When we talk about making a Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'yigyamu azman hazeh, so there I miss the first night of Sukkot. To say a Shehecheyanu, don't worry, do the second night.
You missed Lulav, day one.
Right.
Pick up the second day.
Hanukkah. Lulav gets tricky.
Hanukkah.
Right.
Moshe knew the day he was going to die?
Huh?
Moshe knew he was going to die on the day of his birth?
On the day of his birth.
What bracha do you want to make?
No, so I'm saying.
Bracha
You want to make a
dynamics?
bracha Shehecheyanu that you're getting older, that you know you're going to die on that day too, right?
Interesting. But the Shehecheyanu sounds like you're thanking Hashem for the past or the moment. Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'yigyamu azman hazeh, I made this moment. So you're thinking, okay, what's going to be after that? I'm very thankful. There's things beyond that. So I think that based on what we came across so far, I do hear of a Shiloh that perhaps the time limit didn't extend, and perhaps a person could do it. Maybe next Sunday we should get together. We could have a Shehecheyanu Suda.
Does that have to be meat? For breakfast?
Huh?
For breakfast?
In Eretz Yisrael, they have fleshik, breakfast all the time.
At a restaurant, nobody eats the fleshik part.
So I'm not sure. Yes.
So we're still, you're defining the purpose of the Shehecheyanu as reaching a milestone. How does scurrying around to 4 or 5 different grocery stores to find a new fruit constitute a milestone?
Okay. So I want to get to my next point. Okay? This is a perfect, format in the share on the go. I want to, here I bring a fantastic point. I want to talk about it. That's my second point. So point number 1, which I'm not sure, is I see there's a tzad and halacha to make a Shehecheyanu when you turn 70. and I see there's a tzad in halacha to even do it post that milestone, at least within the 3-week situation. Question is, if a person didn't make it, but the svara of being a chesed each day, perhaps one could make it later. That's one shayla to be continued. The second question that I want to pose is this whole idea that you find clearly right and left in all the poskim of, if it doesn't reach the bar for this, don't worry, we have a fallback plan. Go get your star fruit. Spend a few dollars in Publix, get a nice star fruit, make a bracha on that, and it works for your 70 years old. Maybe we should, it doesn't work, it's not a new fruit. But we'll call it, we'll get everyone a grapefruit, right? You turn 70, we'll get you a grapefruit. Grapefruit league. But how do we understand that? And I'll build on your question. It sounds like the bracha that we make when we buy a new fruit doesn't sound so auspicious, doesn't sound like such a big moment.
Right.
It sounds like a different type of Shehecheyanu. Here you're talking about a major life milestone. And here you're talking about eating a new fruit.
We
right?
say that now.
Here you're talking about the first time I'll do a mitzvah. And here you're talking about a new Calvin Klein suit.
New cherries, come on.
Right?
We can't appreciate the new fruit either.
Okay, right. That's its own discussion. But whatever it is,
We're spoiled. Our
Right.
great-grandparents
Well,
to
yesteryear.
have an orange was a big deal in Europe.
Even to go
Right,
back
right.
to
Rabbi Sharpton said
Yeah,
a few years ago
it was a big deal.
in Shir, it's not so simple to make a Shehecheyanu on a new fruit
right, for these other things.
by Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
Anymore.
These comes up, right, it comes up all
This
the
is a
time.
new-
By Yontif, by the second day of Yontif.
It's not Pashut.
Shall make your Shehecheyanu. So there, right, you play around with the fruits and this. How do you understand that? Why should one bracha exempt the other one? And they seem like they're on two totally different points. So how do we understand that? That bothers me too. I think it's a very, very big question. So, B'ez Hashem, tune in next week. I hope to be able to do more research and answer these questions. Harvey, if this works, this system, maybe we should do, keep you on the edge of your seat, do more part twos. But let me just end with one story. Regardless of the way we come out next week, whether we make the Shehecheyanu or not, but there still are ways, like you brought up before, to mark auspicious moments. And although this is not codified in Shulchan Aruch, but it's clear in the Mefarshim. It's a Gur Aryeh and Rashi. I've heard many people express it. Rav Gifter is one. Yaakov Avinu meets Yosef after all the years. We all know, Pasuk says that Yosef fell on Yaakov's shoulders and cried. Doesn't say much about Yaakov. What was Yaakov doing?
He was saying Kriya
He was saying Kriya Shema. So that's the question. You couldn't have picked a better time. You're on the way, So the Gur Aryeh, Maral, in explaining Rashi, says Yaakov Avinu was channeling his emotions. He was so happy to see his son. Of course. He was channeling his emotions into his religious service, in expressing his love for Hashem. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So regardless of whether we have the schus to be able, the halacha is the right thing to do is make a bracha of Shehecheyanu. But there are other ways, of course, that one could mark auspicious moments. And whether the answer next week is we'll come back, we should make a party for turning 70 or this or that. But there are other ways to recognize the things, and was brought up, even a daily thing. The bracha of Modim, we thank Hashem for every day. And it is a big deal. Every moment, every day. It's a big schos. And, in general, every time we do a mitzvah, there's a birchas mitzvah on many mitzvahs. And that's an expression, okay, I have a chance to do this mitzvah. Okay, so the bar mitzvah boy doesn't make a Shehecheyanu according to most shitas, the first time he performs a mitzvah. But he gets to make a bracha when he does a mitzvah, most of the time. Should have in mind that we have already built in Yiddishkeit a lot of ways that we could channel our emotions on reaching milestones, appreciating them, that we could give those over to Hashem, to thank Hashem for putting us in this place to be able to reach it. And as Hashem, we should all be zoche to experience in life many, many wonderful moments, auspicious moments, with the Shehecheyanu or without the Shehecheyanu, but to thank Hashem along the way. Thank you very much. To be continued next week.
You're going to say Shehecheyanu because it's the first part 2?
We've done sort of like part 2s, but it was like years, in between.
I
I think this is
really
going to
sharp.